Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of my podcast. And if you've never listened before, my podcast is the B Channel 27 podcast. You might be saying, what does B Channel stand for? It stands for blessing, edifying, and encouraging others to live their best lives. And my mission with this podcast is to spread love and to spread hope and light and spill the tea on all of the books that have been blessing me in my quiet time with God. Before we dive into today's episode, be sure to like and share this episode and subscribe to this podcast if it blessed you. You can also catch up with me at B Channel 27 on all my socials. I will include my links in the episode description. Without further ado, let's get into today's book review. This book is called Enough: Silencing the Lies That Steal Your Confidence, and it is by Sharon James. Let me tell y'all a little bit about her. She is an international conference speaker and best-selling author of 22 books, including The Power of a Woman's Words, Becoming the Woman of His Dreams, The 14-Day Romance Challenge, and Take Hold of the Faith You Long For. Her books have been translated into several languages and impact women for Christ all around the world. Sharon served as vice president and radio co-host for Proverbs 31 Ministries for 10 years. She is currently on Proverbs Encouragement for Today devotion writing team, and she speaks writers and speakers teaching team. Sharon is also the co-founder of Girlfriends in God, a non-denominational conference and online ministry that seeks to cross generational, racial, and denominational boundaries to bring the body of Christ together as believers. For those who know Sharon best, she is a simple Southern girl who loves sweet tea, warm beaches, and helping women live fully and freely as children of God and co-heirs with Christ. She and her husband Steve call North Carolina home. They have one grown son, Stephen. And that's just a little bit about her, and I'll share a few more details about her at the end, but I wanted to get into my favorite parts. Well, let's see. I really enjoyed the beginning. She starts off with 5 chapters that are really the groundwork for just taking hold of these thought patterns that are really troubling you in your life. So the first 5 chapters start out with stories that she has chosen specifically to highlight some of the things that we are going through when it comes to our thought life, like House of Mirrors, realize the enemy's true identity, recognize the lies, reject the lies, and replace the lies with truth. And then in the second part of the book, she goes on to, in detail, in the next 10 chapters, tell the lies that the women, are so, women today are so into telling themselves, like lies that we definitely need to let go of. We're just enraptured by them, And I really appreciate her transparency. I appreciate the stories that she shared, and also how she included some resources at the end that are going to really, really bless you in terms of your journey of thinking what God thinks about you instead of thinking about what the enemy would have you to believe about yourself. That's a lie, So it was just a very good read. in terms of that. And it was something about this book that just made me want to slow down and take my time and not feel like I had to read an entire chapter in one day. And that was refreshing to me to be able to do that. And because usually my MO is to rush through these books, y'all, and just be like, I have to read a whole chapter a day. But I'm trying to let go of that lie, because that's like a common misconception. We feel like when we're reading a book, sometimes we feel like we have to read a whole chapter a day. You know, you can read several pages and that's sufficient, because I would rather read a little bit and be able to digest it and understand it, rather than me read a whole chapter and have no clue what just happened, because you're trying to, it's like you're overwhelming yourself. It's a lot of information that can happen within a chapter. So a few pages is more reasonable. We have to be kind to ourselves, even with something as simple as reading and trying to learn something new. So that's something that I've learned with this bookworm journey that I'm on, because I love to read new books, but I'm trying to give myself grace and be like, you know what? If it takes me a month, so what? But at least I'm getting books read, taking my time to actually savor the book and enjoy it. And I think that anybody who is struggling with self-esteem, confidence, self-worth, this is a wonderful book to read, to affirm yourself and to really kind of sit with yourself and reflect on what you have believed about yourself that's a lie, and to be able to kind of rewire your brain to see yourself the way God sees you, and to know that that's the foundation that you need to build your confidence upon. How does God see you? And to really pull out some scriptures and some Bible verses that you can hang on to and kind of anchor yourself to when you're having a rough day, when you're having a rough season, because they will come. But it's about, are you anchored? Like, use the scriptures to anchor you. Use God to anchor you. God is there for you in that way. He wants to be who you rely on, who you go to, who you depend on for your identity, to know who you are, have an assurance of who you are. And, instead of depending on the world or anybody else, any person to tell you who you are. And that's sometimes where we get into trouble, because we want to hold on to what everybody else has said about us, even things that may not be true at all. So it's a really good book if you're trying to get your footing in terms of self-confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem. You can find this book anywhere that books are sold, but most definitely Amazon. You can find that book there. And once again, it's called Enough: Silencing the Lies That Steal Your Confidence by Sharon James. And speaking of her, you can find her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and her blog. And I really hope that you read this book and that it blesses you. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast today. And until next time, peace and blessings. I can't wait to spill the tea with you again on another great book.